There are already countless videos throughout YouTube and even on this channel covering Tekken 8's issues, especially after the launch of Season 2. We all know the abundance of force 50-50s, looping aggression, and moves covering half of the screen. With Season 3 expected for early next year, we hope that Bandai takes a more defensive, transparent, and dare I say conservative approach to balance. Not only for the characters, but for the system itself. One model I've been looking at is StarCraft II Balance Council, a system that brings pro and high level players into the decision making process in a formal, organized way. But before I talk about what that would look like in Tekken 8, let's first understand how that council works. So what is the StarCraft II Balance Council? It's basically a group of top StarCraft II players who give official input on balance changes. Instead of developers making those decisions alone, the console adds a perspective of people who actually play the game at the highest levels. Members are usually invited based on tournament results, and recently they moved to a rep-based format. 2 reps for every race, 2 players to represent the Terrans, 2 players to rep the Zerg, and 2 players to rep the Protoss, in order to streamline the discussion and decision making. So how the console operates? The council talks about balance issues internally, puts together proposed changes, and then release test patches for everyone to try before anything goes live. The devs obviously still get the final say, but the council suggestions play a huge role. The whole balancing process uses player data, pro insight, and community testing, rather than relying only on the developers. While they are very transparent with their goals, much of the internal discussion is actually private. Members even sign NDAs, which has led to some criticism online, but it keeps things simple instead of turning into Twitter drama. And God knows we already have enough of that. The biggest strengths are the insight from competitive players, structured decision making, and a formal system for testing changes before they go live. This prevents wall swings in the meta and allows the balance to evolve with the competitive scene. However, some argue that pro players may push changes that benefit their own playstyle or races, which naturally makes the game balanced mostly around the highest level. Something that is strong on lower levels or intermediate levels may slip through the cracks. Still, it gives SC2 a stable, long-term balance identity, which is especially impressive for a legacy game with minimal new content. Why Tekken needs something similar? Right now, Tekken Balance feels like a mix of dev choices, online complaints, and marketing decisions. There is no clear structure, and Season 2 showed a huge disconnect between what competitive players want and what the patch actually delivered. People want healthier gameplay and more defensive depth, but instead we got things like Zafina back 1+2, and Lars kneel down forward 1 strings, and a new wall combo that does more damage for some reason. A council would give players an actual role instead of just yelling on Twitter. What a Tekken Balance Council would look like. Now, obviously Tekken and StarCraft II are completely different games in genre and design philosophy, but something like this could still work in Tekken because of how passionate the community is. A Tekken version of that could include a mix of retired pros like Ryan Hart or Jimmy J. Tran, content creators like the Main Man or Frame Whisperer, commentators like Sagem and Tasty Steve, and some high-level online warriors. While I just mention names, I just mean people like them, not necessarily them specifically. Don't be the guy in the comment talking about the bad take that the Main Man had. Another important thing to get right is to have global representation. Tekken is a global game, so what's strong in Korea might not be considered strong in Europe or North America, or Pakistan for that matter. So we need voices from all different regions. We also need people from different skill levels. A character like Harang might be overwhelming at mid-ranks, but it doesn't automatically translate to top level play against someone like Lee or Arslan Ash. They also have to consider all skill levels, a beta branch before testing patches before release. I'm not sure how easy it is to do on PlayStation or Xbox, but I've seen people do it on Steam. The final decision should always rest with the devs. The council would be there to advise, but Bandai Namco is the chef, so let them cook. One precaution I have is that anyone in the council should be completely banned from competing on the TWT to protect competitive integrity. That's why I didn't name anybody like Arsonash, Nee, or Shadow20Z, for example. And how would this help Season 3 specifically? The council would not only prevent crazy changes, but even bugs from even making into the game, like the Anna bug on the Season 2 patch. It would keep balance focused on long-term health, instead of hyping up a new character every time. Help players feel that the decisions are made for gameplay, not marketing. And giving devs structured feedback instead of relying on Twitter hashtags like Tekken report. Tekken has one of the best competitive communities in fighting games, but right now all that passion isn't being used productively. StarCraft II shows that when pros and devs work together in a real system, balance can stay mostly healthy for years to come.